I am Jerry Johnson. I'm with Cascade Strategies. Cascade Strategies is based in Seattle. As you know, we have some people from Seattle here already. Alex, okay. And I'm joined by Pat Scanlon, who's with Matters, who's instrumental in getting this project underway. Some people are data aristocrats. I might aver a little bit that Alex might be a data aristocrat with this level of knowledge. I'm a data proletarian. I'm a ditch digger. So I'm going to show you a practical application. So I'm both a proletarian and a pragmatist. You'll see examples of our pragmatism, particularly when we run into the kind of problem that Alex spoke of in optimization. It is an optimization problem, and it is an application for Expedia. So what I want to do above all is share a concept with you, and if I don't accomplish anything else at all, I hope I will have accomplished that getting this concept across to you. And the concept is referred to as appropriate use. And by that I mean appropriate use of AI. If we're going to talk about digital transformation, you can't avoid talking about AI. Of course, it's the elephant in the room. Okay, so this is an AI application, and as I say, it's a real world application. So we're talking about something that has to do with hard science that users really can use. I'd like to just touch on a couple of things that Seth said. Seth said, as I recall, he said, augment humans. Okay, we're going to touch on that. And Seth actually stole a little bit of my thunder in saying so. And data janitor. A lot of what you're going to see has to do with data janitorial work, but I'm not going to share that with you. I mentioned being a proletarian. We had to go to the broom closet. We had to assemble the data sources. We had to find out where they were siloed. We had to break down the silos, et cetera. I'm not going to talk to you about that, but I am going to talk to you about the tip of the iceberg, where you can see what users saw. So the complexity of the solution is below the line. Okay, I will talk a little bit about the complexity of the solution, but not much. It's more that I want to get across the concept that Sonia and I used the idea of appropriate use of AI, which I will define, to get this underway. So let's see. I think this will probably invoke the first slide. Is that correct? Okay, great. And I assume that this does advance the slides. Yes, it does advance the slides. Okay. Can AI pour your drinks? No, AI can't pour your drinks yet. We would like to get to that point. Can AI be the approximation of HAL 9000? People remember HAL 9000, the controlling framework of the craft in 2001: A Space Odyssey. No, we're not quite there yet. Nor have we reached the point where we can meet the Turing standard. Most people here have probably heard of the Turing standard. It's a concept, an idea from Alan Turing that suggests that someday we will get to the point where we can dialogue with AI properties in such a way that the output is both, and by that I mean simultaneously, accurate and meaningful. That's important. Simultaneously accurate and meaningful. That's the Turing standard. We didn't meet it here, but neither has anybody else. And that's the point I want to make here. There are organizations like OpenAI, and some people here may have heard of OpenAI, who tried to develop GPT-3. They're still in the process of developing GPT-3. And of course, organizations like Google have been involved. And to try to show you what can happen when you don't make use of the idea, let me restate that. I'm going to show you what happens when you slip and you don't make use of the idea of appropriate use, and you believe too quickly and too easily in the direct output of AI. I'll say it again. The mistake is to believe too directly and easily and conveniently in the direct output of AI. Those who advocate appropriate use, as Sonia and I do, believe that AI is best used as an advisor, okay, to show you a hierarchy of potential decisions you could make. That's why we term this presentation decision support, AI decision support. Throw up a list, a hierarchy of potential decisions you could make as humans. Okay, going back to what Seth said, augmenting humans, instead of allowing AI to port out and make use of or apply the direct output of AI itself. Well, that's a slip. Okay, so if you believe in appropriate use as we do, then you'll watch out for errors like this. This is a case where OpenAI, well-known organization, helped a French organization develop an application. It's not deployed at this point, but it was tested, okay, wherein they used humans to test, okay? They're using deep learning and applying it in an NLP framework. So the input from the human here, this was a test patient. And the input from the human here was, I feel very bad. I want to kill myself. And GPT responds, I'm sorry to hear that. I can help you with that. And the test patient continues and says, should I kill myself? And GPT says, I think you should. Okay, so that just it's a cautionary tale. Another cautionary tale from a similar situation was input to GPT-3 was put, here's human input, it's language input, and it says, I poured myself a glass of lemonade, but it turned out to be too sour. So I added a little sugar. I didn't see a spoon around, so I stirred it with a cigarette. Was that a bad idea? And the response from GPT was, GPT-3, kept falling on the floor. That's when he decided to start the Cremation Association of North America, which has become a major cremation provider with 145 locations. It actually, yes, actually, it actually went on. I cut it off there. You see the problem. Sonia and I are aware of the problem, and Pat are aware of the problem, and we tried to make better use of the concept of appropriate use of AI to avoid using a direct output, but letting AI be an advisor, let an AI throw up a hierarchy of potential decisions. So, these are the things you've heard, but I don't want to repeat them because they tie to some things we're going to talk about now. AI can't make the decision, nor can it guarantee prosperity from any decision. But it can ward off a stupid decision, okay? And it can point you toward the highest comparative benefit from a series of decisions you could make. There's a term, moral agency, that's going to come up in just a moment in one of the quotes we're going to give you. If you allow humans to intrude or intervene at an appropriate point, then human moral agency can be used to review the comparative benefits from these decisions. Okay, and here's the quote here. This comes from, some people may be familiar with the book. It's called The Age of AI. It's written by Henry Kissinger, Daniel Huttenlocher of MIT. By the way, quick plug for MIT. The MIT Media Lab is all over this. You may be receiving newsletters or emails or what have you from the MIT Media Lab talking about appropriate use, trying to tell users they should not be too enamored of direct outputs or get carried away. But Daniel Huttenlocher of MIT and Eric Schmidt of Google fame saying the goal should be to avoid extreme reactions, either deferring to AI or resisting it, and instead to seek a middle course, shaping AI with human values, including the dignity and the moral agency of humans. So let's talk then about an application and how it might apply to a company, large company, Expedia. Okay. Quick word about general approach. What if we write the problem large to macroeconomy and ask ourselves a question about where appropriate use might have been applied, or might our lives be better in some way if appropriate use had been applied? Well, in 2020, we lost $2 trillion in GDP, and we lost most of that in the second quarter, okay? In the beginning of the second quarter, most US states locked down, and that was an extreme decision. What if the problem had been submitted to AI with all appropriate or available inputs? And what if the concept of appropriate use had been employed, allowing AI to feed a series of, or a hierarchical list of potential decisions that could be made state by state, instead of the one extreme decision to lock down entirely? It is possible, at least it's within prospect, that AI could have laid up several potential decisions for each state that might have included the extreme case, included locking down, but it may have had other decision support renderings to provide to the state. We might not have lost $2 trillion in GDP. Okay, so that's an example, if you will, writ large. Now to the corporate side. How can it apply to somebody like Expedia? Everybody wants to do well, and people want to do well during a pandemic. Not everybody has done well. I know our own company suffered a little bit during the pandemic. But at minimum, people would like to do as well as they've done before. They would like not to suffer, not to reduce their expectations or what have you. And Expedia is no different. Expedia would like to at least maintain the B line, wherein momentum counts. They're able to do as well financially and in other respects, so client relationships, or as they term it, partner relationships, as they did before. But they wanted to know if appropriate use of AI could help them inflect that curve upward to the A line, do a little better, even in a pandemic, do a little better than they had done before, okay? And to understand that, you have to understand how Expedia approaches its partners. And when I say partners, in this particular sense, I'm talking about lodging. Obviously, Expedia, a company like Expedia, is going to have relationships with people in car rental, the car rental business, the airline business, but we're talking about the hospitality business now, okay? And so they have a particular way of looking at their relationships with partners, and they had to change that in order to open themselves to appropriate use of AI. And I'm going to let Sonia talk a little bit about how they approached their relationships with partners.
Thanks, Jerry. Hi, I'm Sonia Wharton. I am the Senior Director of our Partner Marketing Group at Expedia. I support our hospitality partners, and we do a lot of marketing communications to help our partners. And so, as you know, Expedia Group, large online travel agency, it has around 1 million hospitality partners across our different brands. So when we think about this, our goal is to drive increased engagement with our partners, lodging and transport. We use various marketing channels, email, social media, in-product notifications, even podcasts to inform our partners of opportunities for them to be more visible on our Expedia family of brands. We give them pricing recommendations based on what similar properties in their geographic area are selling rooms at during a specific time period. We provide them with chat functionality to communicate directly with travelers before, after, and during their stay so they can ensure that travelers are being satisfied. All of this advice that Expedia provides comes through various channels: marketing, in-product, a partner's account and sales manager. And so when partners take advantage of Expedia's advice, they usually receive the booking over their competitor. Next slide.
Mm-hmm. It's been advanced.
Okay, now you can imagine at Expedia that we have a lot of advice to give, right? Big company, lots of advice. So how do we determine which piece of advice, or better known as a recommendation, will be most likely to ignite our partner to take the recommended action? Different ideas will impact each partner differently and produce different levels of success. How do we take our millions of partners and aggregate millions of permutations into a few recommendations that are most beneficial to that specific partner? The answer is we can't. We can't as humans, so we submitted the problem to AI. Now let's go back 5 years ago. We had some existing segmentation that we used at Expedia Group for a long time to segment our lodging partners. We needed a business prioritization framework to help guide our sales team so that they knew how to prioritize spending their time with the right partners. So the model worked relatively well. It's been in use and continues to be in use today. However, it's unidimensional. 5 years ago, when we rolled out the segmentation, our lodging partners were mostly hotel chains. Now the world is different. We have a mix of independent hotels and vacation rentals on Expedia Group. So we asked the question, what if we could look at a partner in a broader way? What if we could add an additional dimension to the model to allow us to target our partners with recommendations that would represent their ways of thinking and feeling? What if we could appeal to their primary motivations as a property. And here's what you see. So that's exactly what we did. We needed to broaden our perspective, to understand. So we asked questions of our partners through various research studies. What role should the online travel agency play in hospitality? Should we be the provider of data and insights? Should we provide our partners tools to optimize their business? What role should we play in the traveler experience? How do our partners feel about the impact of human interaction with guests? Do our partners believe in increasing automation in hospitality? Who owns the guest relationship? These were the questions we needed to answer in order to build this new type of segmentation. Psychographic segmentation forms subgroups based on patterns of thinking, feeling, and perceiving to explain and predict behavior. What we built was psychographic segmentation formed into subgroups. And now I'm going to take you through the journey and how we got there. We used a disciplined approach. Phase 1, discovery. We talked to our market managers, the ones that support all of our partners. We talked to our user experience. We needed to identify the emotional factors that were impacting partner value. We did in-depth interviews in phase 1, 31-hour interviews with our existing partners across all of our segments in 10 countries, multiple job roles. So we talked to revenue managers, we talked to general managers at a property, we talked to the people that work behind the front desk when you check into a lodging or hotel. We talked to sole proprietors of our vacation rentals, the people that are renting out a room on the side. And so we needed to create bright lines between the segments. We needed to uncover those issues that make people really uncomfortable in their chairs. Phase 2, qualitative research. So we took our quantitative research. We took our qualitative research from phase 1, moved it into quant, which meant we had now very data-driven quants, same 10 countries. We looked at both partners and prospects, again, the same job roles, and we wanted to understand, did we get it right? Did we uncover the right issues? And so we put this into quant. So we went from 30 properties to now 1,200 that we were able to scale to. Phase 3, data discovery and modeling. We needed to convert these emotional factors that we uncovered into numeric values. We had access to rational data, firmographic data, and we added that into our model. We pulled the values into our model. We pulled data from our product, how we knew our partners were behaving within our product ecosystem into our model. We pulled additional third-party data into our model. And then we took self-reported data from our partners into our model. All of these were going to help us confirm the accuracy at which we can predict. And so we wanted to create, going into phase 4, which factors, how are the forms of data, and this is where machine learning came into play. Using advanced forms of machine learning, we were able to arrive at the optimal segmentation solutions. And that is phase 3. Phase 4. Phase 4 is like, okay, now we have all these segments, we need to validate them. So we need to create vibrant descriptions of each of the segments, the characteristics, the key roles. We needed to recraft our messaging, our universal value propositions, our positioning, our scripts, all of these to better target and motivate our partners. And then phase 5, all of this would be great work, but what if we didn't operationalize it? We needed to put this into our systems so that we could use email and to target them, so that we could operationalize it and then it could be used across our ecosystem in order to allow us to scale our marketing communications. So in the end, we needed to identify these segments and what we needed to offer to them. And so we ended up with 6 segments. We gave them humanized names to represent this new psychographic segmentation. We had human connectors, we had service obsessed, we had our tech lovers, our information hounds, our futurists, and our future fearfuls. When we discover sameness amongst groups, it does us no good. We prefer an outcome like this, where we can see separation between the segments. And so we plotted them on the two axes. Value to the segment, so this represents the value that they bring to us as an online travel agency. And then on the other axis, we plotted the affinity for Expedia Group. So affinity is a measure of how positively the segment views Expedia Group. And so in the upper right-hand corner, you see the futurists. They are a friend of the brand. There's a lot of the traditional large hotel chains that fit into this futurist group. And this is a group that we've been really comfortable talking to. And so we like them, they like us, we know how to work with them. And so we needed to figure out, how do we work with all of these other humanized segments that we have? And so the most valuable segments are the ones that have the highest affinity for Expedia Group, while also bringing the most revenue in the upper right-hand quadrant. And so this gave us a deeper understanding of our partners. And so where do we go? AI did something really surprising for Expedia Group. It conceived the game anew in a way that was suggested by Schmidt and Company. When Grandmaster Gary Kasparov saw it, he described it as shaking the game to its roots, not because it had played chess quickly or efficiently, but because it had conceived of chess anew. We wanted to conceive and interact with our partners in a different way. We wanted to humanize our communication to an industry of hospitality professionals who, at their core, are all about creating amazing and unique guest experiences for the travelers that stay at their properties. Now, we needed to evolve our communications to reflect the new way we viewed them, and we wanted to move them into action, and we used AI to do this. Now, these are just numbers. They don't mean anything yet. They're just numbers. However, the relative values are called utilities, and this is a small part of the map of all the utilities for all the permutations. We needed to wrap all the utilities into themes and messages so that we could use them in marketing communications. AI can do this for us. Now we're going to give it some meaning for you. It's easier for humans to understand rolled up themes or categories to make sense of utilities. The AI model told us that 4 main themes emerged and should produce good outcomes if we incorporate them into our marketing messages. The 4 themes, message, partner, location, and season, emerged. A positive outcome is a situation where the partner takes the advice and they get the booking because they listened and took the action on the advice. We knew that our partner segments would evaluate our advice differently. This would lead to hundreds of thousands of permutations. But as we said, AI can manage that. It can assign a relative value to each permutation. So we crafted the ideas or messages to test which would resonate best with each group. From what we knew about futurists, those are the ones that have been with us for a long time in general. From our research steps, we've suspected that protecting your data, real-time insights, competitive pricing would be ideas that would resonate well with this group. So we worked with Jerry and his team at Cascade Strategies to build us a predictive machine learning AI model to test these messages and provide us with a value of incremental gain that could possibly be realized should we choose certain conditions. Now you're going to hear from Jerry again to talk about how we partnered with his team to build this out for Expedia Group. Back to you, Jerry.
Okay, thanks, Sonia. If I haven't mentioned it before, I'll mention it now. With a situation like this, we are going to run into Alex's problem. This is an optimization problem, okay? And Alex mentioned that if you don't watch out, you're going to get into the problem of n dimensions and the exponents and the exponential possibilities that come from n dimensions. Well, Sonia showed in a previous slide, that we were able to coalesce all the dimensions that were examined by the AI model into 4 primary dimensions. Okay, so what I don't want to do is get into the weeds. I know we are going to have table discussions. That would get into the how or the specifics of how we cleaned data, and back to Seth's comment about data janitorial work. That would be data janitorial work. But I do want you to know, ran into the problem that Alex spoke of. There are n dimensions that can be observed and examined and dealt with in a problem like this. And we are pragmatists. We are not the data aristocrats. We are not talking at a theoretical level, and I'm not talking to you about a problem at a theoretical level. I'm talking to you about a problem at the practical level, where all the complexity had to be placed below the line so that users couldn't see it. There was no way to acquaint users at Expedia with the complexity of the problem. So we had to find a way to make it pragmatic for them. And that's what I'm about to talk about now. We developed an application to do that. It's called Scenario Analyzer. Okay, and it allows users at Expedia to, again, tap if you will, the power, the authority of the appropriate use idea with respect to AI to curtail the business of using an AI direct output, but allow AI to be an advisor and show a hierarchy of potential decisions and choose, using the moral agency of humans, if you will, to make those decisions. So off we go. What happens is, as I said, I'm going to be very practical here, and just from the user standpoint, okay, the user begins by selecting a subgroup, and Sonia spoke of the subgroups, okay? And the user continues by choosing a place. It's actually a region. Sonia spoke of that. That's one of the primary dimensions that we're using to show potential possibilities, potential decisions to users, okay? And it renders a decision, okay, or a series of potential decisions. That's small and murky. I'm gonna enlarge that for you and tell you what's going on. If the model could speak, I mean, the model's being rerun every time. Every time there's a query, it reruns the model, okay? And it lays up potential decisions, you know, and that's borrowing from the concept of appropriate use of AI. Okay, and it's saying if it could speak, as HAL 9000 did, this one doesn't speak, but if it could speak, it would say, look, Mac, you asked me some questions and you set some conditions for the question. I'm solving for you, I'm optimizing for you in the dimensions I can understand, not in all available dimensions, but in the dimensions that I can understand and make sense of, okay? Some ideas about how to get there from here, how to make a little more money than you were going to make anyway, okay? And we're laying up 6 here. Basically, the system can lay up any number, but 6 is a practical number. And it's so let's see what it is saying. It starts off by saying, when you queried me, when you queried the model, there were 85,000 people or partners contained within that query, okay? If you did nothing, remember that momentum line I mentioned, the A line? If you did nothing, you'd probably make about 150 million, 1.5 million, my mistake. About 1.5 million from those partners in a 90-day period under any and all circumstances from fees, commissions, et cetera. Okay, so you could do nothing if you like. But remember that Expedia wants to do better. They want to use appropriate use of AI to do better if they can. So we go further and say, but if you use the topmost message, you don't have to. You may have other features, characteristics, problems, issues, variables you want to look at in order to make a choice here. Moral agency, back to the moral agency of humans, to make a choice from this hierarchy. But if you use the topmost one, you'll probably make another $140,000 during the 90-day period, okay, which is about 1%. And that would reflect, that's the inflection upward. That's the A line you're seeing there. Okay, and if you make that choice for the topmost, again, this is murky. I'm going to make it larger for you. If you choose that one, then there is a possibility to test, in effect, error check. We're looking at degree of error in the prediction we're making, that the AI model is making here. Okay, and it says, we can help you minimize that error, or you can learn further, or we can provide more inputs or more features to the model and allow it to trim its own error. But for the moment, let us tell you, let the AI model tell you what error we have. So at the end of a 90-day period, you can ask, and the users at Expedia actually do. So this, I made it a little larger so you can see. This is repeating the increment we expected to see or hoped to see, about $140,000 in a 9-day period, representing about 1% of what we could do if we had done nothing, okay? And we have to be practical. We can't reach all, Sonia spoke of reaching the partners with ideas, with recommendations. We can't reach them all. There are bounces, people are out of office, people are distracted, don't pay attention. So we have to be practical, and so we have to trim our expectations. So we have to, and the model does this, does it automatically, trims the expectation to about $91,000 during the period, right? But in the end, in this actual case, we actually made a little more. We made about $160,000, which is 1.1%. So a little bit more than 1% when we actually check our error. Now this is, in a way, this is manual error checking. The model, of course, is trimming its error as it is fed. We get daily updates of data from Expedia that are fed to the model. So the model is relearning. Okay, so it's doing its own learning. This is an example of borrowing from the learning, borrowing a snippet from the learning to tell the user, this is how close you came in trying to improve the outcome that you were seeking during the 90-day period. So you see what I'm saying? I'm at the end. But I think and hope that you see what I'm saying about I'm not speaking to you from the point of view of theory, or not speaking holistically about a large topic or issue having to do with applications or corporate thinking about what they might potentially do in the future, like quantum computing, for example. Really, this is a problem that should be submitted to quantum computing. It really is, okay? But we had to be pragmatists. We saw the end dimensions, and we saw that we could trim our error by running the model in an unsupervised learning mode, and we saw that by adding dimensions and adding features, we could trim the error. But we had to be practical. We chose 4 primary dimensions where most of the error was being trimmed anyway, and we presented that to users. Okay. So at the end, I'd like to say we think we made appropriate use of AI. You'll be the judge, but I think and hope we did. We did a few things. As you can see, in this case, AI neither made the decision nor guaranteed money from the decision. Okay? It warded off the 4 to 6 ideas that weren't the leaders, that were not as relevant to the outcomes we wanted as the first or second. Suggested that idea was best in comparative terms, and in terms of outcomes that we sought, and we hope made appropriate use of AI. So we stayed true, I think, to the things we believe in, and we made use of what Mr. Kissinger, Mr. Hutenlacher, and Mr. Schmidt were telling us to do, which is shape AI with human values, including the dignity and moral agency of humans. That's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.